Hey everybody, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I got my studio lighting up here on. It's late at night. Saddlebrook tennis and pickleball courts will be closed through July 24th. They've been resurfacing a lot of the tennis courts and things like that and cleaning out pools, so it's one of those or all. Driver with Mexican passport arrested after caught behind wheel in Wildwood. I had a conversation with somebody. I don't want to mention names or anything to get people in trouble, but it was at one of our local car rental places. Okay. And I asked him about that. I said, a lot of these foreign people are coming here, whether legal or illegal. I'm not getting into that conversation, but they get caught all the time by not having a driver's license. And, or they'll have like, say, a Mexican driver's license or whatever. And she said, or he said, that when a foreign person comes to this country, all they have to do is provide two things to rent a car. One is proof of insurance, that the car is covered, that they're going to rent, like most credit cards pays the insurance. If they don't have that, that's why most rental car companies ask you if you want to purchase the insurance. That way their car's covered. The car's covered. The other thing she says, they just show a driver's license. And in the United States, when you have a foreign person comes here for a visit of whatever, if they have a valid driver's license from Mexico or a valid driver's license from Russia, they have to accept that. I did not know that. To the editor, the letter submitted by George McCallum III in reference to golf carts on roads and his demand that they be prohibited is a great example of a total misunderstanding of a unique aspect of living in the villages. The villages is a golf cart community. Yes, it's always been a golf cart community. They used to have signs all around Spanish Springs when that was the one and only square. Nice signs, big signs saying the villages, golf cart community. I don't know if them signs are still there. I haven't seen them for a while. The villages is a golf cart community, and people who want to live here need to understand that. These golf carts have been cohabiting with cars since the 1960s when Harold Schwartz founded the villages. Residents are to respect their usage wherever they are permitted legally, including the public highways. If this frustrates Mr. McCullum, he has a perfect right to move elsewhere. That was written in by Larry Morin, the village of Mallory Square. Well, I won't go as far as that. I always think that's a cheap cop out to say, well, you can move somewhere else. So all of us can move somewhere else. But that is a fact. If you're going to move here, you need to know, and I don't know how you would not know, this is a golf cart community. Of all the videos that I've posted, I've got over 1,000. By the way, you're watching the longest continually running villages YouTube channel anywhere, right here. So yes, there's more golf carts in the villages owned by residents than there are cars. And that's fact. So if you don't like sharing the road with golf carts, you don't like the idea of going down a 35-mile-an-hour road and you may have to slow down for a 20-mile-an-hour golf cart once in a while, then you're going to be really frustrated moving here. And that's why I always recommend for somebody to rent something for a while for a lot of reasons. But at the very least, get a good feel for what the villages is before you spend $250,000 or more for a house and then decide, later that you just don't like it here. Just come down, do your due diligence, as a friend of mine once said. Here's another letter to the editor. It says, to the editor, the golf carts by no means belong on the road with any car or truck. They live in their own little world and they think everyone else lives in their world also. They don't abide by any road rules except their own. I have seen so many accidents on Buena Vista involving golf carts, it's unreal. They zoom around the parking lots, like where there is a Publix or a CVS or Walgreens. They think they always have the right of way. They even think pedestrians are in the wrong if they try to walk in front of one when there is a walkway. They don't abide by the rules inside of the villages. What makes anyone think they are going to abide by the ones in a parking lot that is mostly cars, trucks, and pedestrians? They are a menace to society in whole, just like the villagers riding their bikes in lanes for automobiles. Who came up with the right idea will make lanes for golf carts to zip through the villages and let the bikers take their lives in their own hands by having them driving in lanes with automobiles. Someone needs to go back to the drawing board and put the bike in lanes where the golf carts run. Bikes are more prone to accidents than golf carts. Ding dong, wake up. This is coming from somebody that doesn't even live in the villages. You see this a lot. Remember, I did a video a while back saying that most people that's lived here for a long time, they don't like the villages, and they don't like people that live in the villages in most cases. They wish we weren't here because at one time this was a peaceful, Wildwood mainly, and Coleman's another one, a peaceful Florida sleepy town. They didn't really have a whole lot of industry or nothing here, really. Pasture ground mostly. That's what all this is at one time, just pasture ground. And here's another one that was written in by Lisa Garrison Erlt, EHA, like LT. Can't hardly read the writing. From Wildwood. It's a Wildwood resident. Well, Lisa, you've been here long enough. You lived in Wildwood probably for a long time. Only thing I got to say is suck it up, Buttercup. Multiple steps will be taken to repair the sinkholes at pond in the villages. Those are the sinkholes we reported last week. There was like two major ones, I think. The first of several steps has begun in the repair of 3 large sinkholes that opened up this past weekend during the retention pond in the villages. Oh, man. Andreev, Andreyev Engineering, was at the site of the sinkholes Tuesday at the pond behind Moyer Recreation Center in the Fruitland Park section of the villages. They are directing temporary repairs, which includes using heavy equipment to fill in the trio of large sinkholes, which have attracted a great deal of media attention as well as a steady stream of curious villagers. The yellow caution tape that had initially been used to hold back the spectators has been replaced with an orange construction-style fence to ensure the safety of the public. Remember the old lady I did a report on probably, gosh, I don't even know, a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It was before we went on our trip. And she got into an argument with some poor girl working at Burger King, I think, and she got into a tirade with this poor girl behind the counter over how thick the tomato slice was on her sandwich, and she got mad and threw her sandwich at the girl, and then she started throwing racial slurs at the girl. There was a lot of witnesses there that testified to all this. She was arrested, for whatever charges they could probably drum up, probably at least 2 or 3. Or she's been charged. Let's see what's happened. I haven't read this. Let's see what she says. 78-year-old villager arrested earlier this year in the alleged Whopper throwing Whopper throwing. I guess that's what she ordered, a Whopper. Throwing tirade at Burger King is due back in court next week. Judith Ann Black of the village of Pine Ridge is scheduled to appear Tuesday, July 20, in Sumter County Court, enter a plea in front of Judge Paul Melitello. She was released April 30th after allegedly throwing the Whopper at the worker at the fast food restaurant at Trailwinds Village in Wildwood because she was reportedly dissatisfied with the quality of the tomatoes served on her burger. Thought they were saying they're going to sentence her, but I guess this hasn't happened yet. We'll keep up with that. Villager suspected of stalking ex-girlfriend back in jail after bond revoke. You want to bet that she got a trespass order, and he says, "I don't care. I'm coming over, baby." A villager suspected of stalking his ex-girlfriend is back in jail after his bond was revoked. Christopher John Drennan, 62, who resides at 650 Bainin Place in the village of Winifred. Winifred's a nice neighborhood. I've been through there many, many times. He was booked without bond Tuesday afternoon at the Sumter County Detention Center. He had been free on $5,000 bonds following his February 25 arrest on a charge of stalking. A motion to revoke his bond was filed Friday. According to Sumter County records, at the time of his original arrest, the woman called 911 after Drennan allegedly showed up and began banging on her bedroom window in the early morning hours at her home near the Winifred pool. He had been there earlier in the week, causing a disturbance, and had been trespassed from the property. She had already been in touch with law enforcement due to numerous text messages he had sent to her and vulgar voice messages, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. She and the Iowa native had been in a romantic and intimate relationship since the past September. Hey, dude, take a hint. A villager's 43-year-old son with a history of unclothed arrest has landed back behind bars. Brian Paul Sobocinski lives with his parents on Clearwater Run in the village of Bridgeport at Miana Shores, was booked without bond Monday at the Sumter County Detention Center. He is charged with violating his probation. In 2019, Sobocinski was wearing only boxer shorts and sitting in a blue Jeep when he was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence in the parking lot of Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the Villages. A half-empty 3-liter bottle of Carlo Rossi Poisano, I don't know, table wine was spotted in the vehicle. 2014, Poyinski was arrested when he was found naked outside a hotel in Boca Raton. He was arrested in 2018 in an alleged attack on his fiancée at a hotel in the Villages. Sobocinski had been convicted of driving under the influence in 2004 in Texas and in 2019 in St. Lucie County in South Florida. Another winner, Mom and Dad. Kick him out. Letters to the editor. My husband and I appreciate and support diversity in our family, in the Villages, and in America. While some of our neighbors innocently display little white crosses as symbols of their faith, some villagers purposely display little white crosses to intimidate others. Since we have no desire to intentionally or accidentally enable fake patriots and Christian racists, we agree with Jerry Bell's letter to the editor dated June 20, 2021, entitled, "If Crosses Are Allowed, Should We Permit All Symbols of Faith?" I have been saying that exact same thing. Yes, you have to. You can't discriminate. The last sentence of his letter states, "I don't think the Villages is being down on Christians over this. I see them as trying to be fair and equitable to the people of all faiths who have come to call this place home." That was sent in by Janet Murphy, the village of Hacienda North. Take it to heed. If you say this is okay, then you got to let it all. You got to let it all. You got to let it all be okay. And some things you may not like may move next door to you and display their stuff. The Villages developer apparently is spearheading a major workforce housing, industrial, and commercial development along US 301 south of Coleman. That's not a surprise. We've known this. His company announced that they were going to build I'll say a family development down there because they're trying to bring in work, people that want to work. And they're wanting to bring in designers and engineers and top quality people. Well, these people have children. These people need a place to live. So he's developing an area down there that they can buy into to have their kids, and there'll be a school and all that kind of stuff. Up to that point, I have no problem. My only problem with all this is when they make a family community like that, and I've always had this question, is those communities figured in the 80-20 rule? So somebody told me that those areas get approved to be exempt from the 80-20 rule for some special reason. I don't know why. So if that's true, then if they make too many of those and you have kids everywhere riding bicycles on the golf cart trail and things everywhere, which up to this point, that hasn't really happened. But I'm just thinking, if we're getting so big that if they keep allowing more and more and more, when will it be to the point where you have to stop because we're past that 20%? The Coleman Ridge Master Planned Development Project would include 550 homes, 7 million square feet of industrial space, and 100,000 square feet of commercial space on 563 acres. Matter of fact, the industrial park that they might be, I think that's what they're talking about here. That's already a lot of it, I won't say all of it, a lot of it is up. I don't have video of it. I've been meaning to go down there and team up with Papa Pineapples to get some footage of it. I just haven't done it yet, but just whether I got it or somebody else got it, it's out there. But that industrial parks, part of it is up and running. Sumter County Commissioners voted Tuesday night to send a proposed comprehensive plan amendment to the state for review. Major projects often are submitted for state review. The plan amendment will be followed by a development agreement and request to rezone the property to mixed use. Much of it now is zoned agriculture. The industrial space would complement the Governor Rick Scott Industrial Park along Interstate 75, which is developed by the villages. Well, maybe this is another part of that development, and so it sounds like one I know's there. But anyway, we'll find out. Nearly 1.3 million square feet of commercial space and 729 homes would be allowed on the property, but the developer has agreed to cap the project at the lower numbers. The property includes about 22 acres of wetlands and a wildlife population that features gopher tortoises, bald eagles' nests, and sandhill cranes. I won't swear to it. I don't think the developer is being a good guy on that. I believe that's Florida law. That if you find nesting gophers and nesting eagles and stuff, that's it. No more. I'll do it again. You're done. A traffic analysis by Kimley, Horn, and Associates Incorporated estimated all pre-development uses would generate 34,591 daily trips. Coleman CPD is listed as the landowner, but that company can be tracked back to the village's developer. During a public hearing on the project, villager Gilbert Windsor told commissioners that he researched the corporation and uncovered other companies that eventually traced to village's developer Mark Morse. After Windsor's comments, attorney Darren Taylor represented the project developer, conceded that the villages is involved. Sumter County Zoning Special Master endorses the plan amendment on June 21. Project will provide expanded housing and employment opportunity to the surrounding community. Special Master stated, as the villages continues to grow in the Coleman Wildwood area, there is an increasing demand for workforce. Commissioners also praised the project. Several new industries have located in the Scott Industrial Park, including, that must be the industrial park that I know is there, is the Scott Industrial Park. The village's Daily Sun is printing plant is there. Myco Customs and the DZ Precast Office and Truck Stop. I have to go and check this out. I didn't realize there was a truck stop there. I have to check this out. Sometimes these reporters, they don't really know what a truck stop really is. A rail spur is under development to serve the park. And that's the end of that article. But just let me say that unless this guy here has been living in a cave and he just came out of it, the idea of a developer like that having many different companies to do different things. Let's go back to when Walt Disney was alive, and he came to Florida, and he was looking to buy land to build Disney World. Up to that point, he had Disneyland, which is in California. Well, he didn't buy enough land to seclude the park because all the hotels and gas stations and fast food joints and whatever, they all did what's happening to the villages. They started building around the outer edges of Disney to take advantage of the customer base going in and out of that park. And Walt didn't like that. So he comes down here and he starts buying up all this pasture ground and swamp grounds and, just a lot of land that it wasn't being used. And he didn't want nobody to know that he was the one buying it because he was afraid of what would happen to the land price here if everybody knew that Disney's buying up all this property around here. So he had several companies. I don't know how many. You have to Google it. You have to check it out. But he had a bunch of companies and a bunch of different people representing those different companies buying pieces of land here, pieces of land over there. George would buy some land over here. Bob bought some land down there. Carol went out and bought that farm over there. Well, when it all came together, all this land was touching each other. So he had this conglomerate amount of land to where he can now build Disney inside, and your local hotel and motel cannot build hotels around where he has his stuff. The idea of doing that is not new. This guy's making it sound like the developer. Oh my God, the developer. People are always pointing their finger, and sometimes, he gets blamed for a lot of stuff that I don't get. I mean, because just like this, you know, eh. Unless I'm misspoken and I didn't understand exactly what he is saying, then whoever you are, Mister Whatever, send me an email. I'll be more than glad to put you on on my WNL show, and you can explain exactly what you meant by that article. I'll do it. Bet you don't call. Resident Nancy Young said she's been waiting and watching the deterioration of two homes, a designer home at 5751 Sea Grapes Way and another home in the Cypress Villas. The villa was purchased for $168,000 in April of 2018 by Kristen Hurley, who received the property tax bill at her home in Conway, Arkansas. The same month, Hurley purchased a home on Sea Grapes Way for $583,000. Thanks to a little digital detective work, Young was able to uncover the apparent obituary for her deceased neighbor. The Arkansas Democratic Gazette on May 17, 2019 published an obituary indicating that the 53-year-old founder of the Hurley Chronic Chiropractic, man, my reading is bad this time of night, I'm sorry, Chiropractic Center in Conway died May 12, 2019 of complications of polycystic kidney disease. Village of Finney resident Kim Rupert said she has been so upset with the handling of an abandoned property in her neighborhood, she's thinking of packing up and leaving the village's friendliest hometown. I am probably not going to stay in the villages due to the problems I have gone through with that property. She said she got the runaround when she tried to get some action with regard to the property and aimed her anger at the village's point man on deed compliance, Marty Zuro. I don't know how all that works on a deed compliance, but I know of two people. Both of them. They don't live in my neighborhood, but I know of two people, nice people. They wouldn't harm a fly. Beautiful homes. Everything's landscaped, and it's just beautiful. Both of them got turned in by an anonymous complaint. One was about a white cross, and they pretty much just told this person, you have to take it out. That's just the deed compliance. It's considered to be yard ornamentation, and you're not allowed to have that. And they said, you got to take it out. And they did. And then I know another person that got a deed compliance order because they had these little metal, I don't know what you call them. You see them everywhere, really. Little metal, like cranes, the heron cranes. And they got them in their flower bed in the front yard. And like I say, they're in my neighborhood. I got no problem with it myself. Actually, I kind of like them. But anyway, somebody turned her in. And they came out, they take a picture of it. That's what they do. They go back to the big dog. And when he sees that picture, then he says, well, we have an order to issue. And then they send whoever out, deed compliance people, or maybe community watch people. I don't know. It used to be community watch people, but I don't know if they use them anymore. Knock on a door, give you a letter. If you're not home, they'll stick the letter in your door or something, telling you have like 3 days or 5 days or whatever the case may be, put your property back in compliance. That means you got to take that stuff out. And they'll come by again. And if it's been taken out, they'll take a picture, show it to the big dog, and he'll sign off on it. And that's it. Done and over. No big deal. But like the White Cross thing, there's been at least one couple that I know of that has went way beyond being what I would call reasonable. They're willing to take this White Cross thing to court. And I don't think it's going to do them any good. A lot of these people come from the North don't understand. Let me tell you something. Those of you from the Midwest, you'll understand. The system here with the developer and the authorities, the commissioners and stuff, this is a good old boy system here. Enough said. La Hacienda Recreation Center and Sports Pool will be closed Friday. Let me answer a question real quick. Somebody asked me, said, what's the difference between a sports pool and, say, the family pool and the adult pool? It's very simple, really. If you're here, you'd really appreciate it, I think. You may not, but I do. The family pool is like when you have visiting grandchildren that come down. That's where you take your grandchildren and stuff so they can scream, yell, splash, carry on, whatever. And of course, your parents can go too. It's a family pool. And the adult pool here is for the adults that don't want to be around the screaming, the the splashing and carrying on. They don't want to be around it. They're quiet. So you go to the adult pool. There, according to the rules, you got to be 30 years old and older with proper ID. And that gets kind of bent out of shape too. They'll have, like, say, a visitor's pass, but then they don't have a picture ID proving that they are the name that's on the visitor's pass. And anyway, I think they're going to start, cracking on that just a little bit, especially during snowbird season. But as of right now, whatever. But anyway, you got to be 30 years older to go to the adult pool. That way you can go up there if you want to lay back and read a book for a while or play with your phone and just sit in the sun and maybe take some friends up there and just sit around a table and talk for a while or have a beer or whatever. Because you can drink alcohol at the adult pools. You just can't do it in the pool. That's a no-no. You can't take your drinks in the pool and set them on the side of the pool. You can't do that. There's about a foot on the outer edge of the pool where there's like a drain all the way around the pool. So the water that gets splashed out, it'll wash down into those drains, or like rainwater and all that, it'll wash down those drains. Your drink cannot be inside that drain. From the edge of the pool to that drain, it can't be in there. You got to leave it on the table or something. But and you're not supposed to have anything in glass. I mean, this is common sense, right? You can't take beer bottles up there in a bottle. It should be in a can. You can't take, I don't even know what else there is there. Oh, wine, I suppose. You can't take wine glasses up there. Somebody sitting there can just call down and have that lady come down there and she'll tell you, you got to take him out of here. But I can only speak for my pool because I don't go to everybody else's stuff and I don't know what everybody else does. But I can tell you, our pool is pretty easy peasy. Nobody does anything up there. And even during snowbird season, I haven't really noticed anything going on up there. I haven't, but I don't go there every day either. Well, the sports pool. I didn't explain that. The sports pool is, there's a magazine and it'll have the open days, and some of the days are closed because they have activities there that you as a resident, you can go. I used to play water volleyball. We did it, what was it? We went to Eisenhower, I think, on Wednesday and played water volleyball. And then we went down to Rohan, that's a sports pool, and played water volleyball on Saturday. But that's what sports pools are for, sports. Water volleyball. I don't know what all else they do, but I do know that's open sometimes, and people go there like 1 or 2 days a week. It'll be open. In other words, that means you can just go in there and do your laps. A lot of people like doing laps, and they'll lap swim in there. You're not supposed to do any lap swimming in this family pool. You're not supposed to do any lap swimming in the adult pools. It happens, but most people are very discreet about it. They'll go up like fairly early in the morning when they open the pools. There's nobody in there, and they'll go in there and they'll just kind of do it. Nobody's around, and common sense, man. Here we go. Yard ornaments at a home in the villages will have to be removed as a result of a decision rendered by the Community Development District 9 Board of Supervisors. The home at 631 Bradford Loop in the village of Sanibel was the subject of a public hearing on Thursday afternoon at Savannah Center. Joseph and Rosalie Terrero purchased the home in March for $405,000. The couple barely had time to settle into their new home before Community Standards received a complaint April 19th about lawn ornaments on the property. The violation was verified the following day. Community Standards has been in almost constant contact with the homeowners since the violation was verified. Terraro claimed the lawn ornaments had been removed. However, Community Standards went back to check and found the lawn ornaments were still there. At one point, Rosalado Terraro complained that the lawn ornaments were too heavy to move. It doesn't make any difference at this point because you lied. The Terraros have been given 3 days to remove the ornaments. If the ornaments are not removed, the couple will be fined $50, followed by daily fines of $25. You can just tell. You can just feel the anger there when she said, well, they've been removed. They go back and go, no, there they are. Now, admit, I saw this article before, and I kind of read it because it really, most of these complaints about stuff, usually it's the homeowner's fault. It usually is. In some complaints, what happens is somebody dies, somebody moves. All the neighbors like that person, so they didn't make a registered complaint about anything that person did. Now that person sells the house for whatever the reason is. A new person moves in. Nobody around them knows that person. And then all of a sudden, one of you, you know what? That guy's statue he's got in the front yard has always bugged me. I don't like it. So he makes a complaint on that guy because he don't know that guy that bought that house. And that's what happens. And once the complaint's made, they'll verify it and it's got to be dealt with. The Villages is a complaint-based neighborhood. Your neighborhood's complaint-based. You can break all the rules you want, really. And as long as nobody complains, nothing will ever be said. But one person complains, then that's when they'll go out and they'll verify it and they'll make you change it. But here's the catch-all to that I don't like. Anybody can make a complaint. They don't have to live in your neighborhood. It can be somebody from 5 miles away in the Villages that just happen to be driving through your neighborhood just to look at the houses, that's all. Just to drive through your neighborhood and just see what's in there. And they drive through your neighborhood and she goes, oh, they wouldn't let me do that. And so these people here ain't doing that either. Like, give me that address. And they'll get the address because all the addresses are on in front of your house. And they'll go down and make an anonymous complaint, and they don't even live in your neighborhood. That's what's wrong with it. But this lady, I think, is getting a raw deal. And I'm on her side. If what I'm understanding is true. Tell me what you think. A villager who painted her house the wrong color will take her fight to the Architectural Review Committee. Michelle Peterson, who lives at 2869 Rain Lily Loop in the village of Sanibel, had been ordered in June to repaint her house after she unwittingly strayed from the color palette put in place by Community Development District 9 Board of Supervisors. Now, that's how that color palette works is you have a house, okay, or you have a driveway and you want to paint it. I had to. You want to paint it or you want to repaint your house if you got a stucco house. You've seen this other color you like a little better. You want to repaint your house. You go down to ARC to get the approval to paint your house. They give you a color palette. That's what they generally do. And on this palette will be a whole bunch of approved colors for your district. This is why I tell people all the time, check your district rules. They're different in different districts. And then you can paint your house to one of those colors. Cover your butt though. Keep that color palette as evidence. And try to get people's names that tells you this. They say, well, you're okay. Get their name. If they send you a letter or an email telling you that it's okay, you don't print that email out because you never know. You just never know when things change. And that's what happened to this lady. Let me go on with this. However, Peterson made it clear in an appearance Thursday afternoon before the board that she wasn't going to go without a fight. Good for her. Keeps your blood moving. After the June meeting, Peterson studied meeting minutes from CDD9 board meetings going back more than a year, and she challenged previous assertions made about the process in 2020 by which CDD9 made a change to the color palette. She has argued that during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, access was not readily available to the district office. She also contends that the change to the color palette was not well publicized. Got me so far? Peterson said she contacted the Architectural Review Committee about her proposed paint job and received an email in response informing her that said pre-approval was not required as long as the homeowner chooses a color that is on the palette. They do that a lot. Let me get gross a little bit. Cover your ass. She was adamant that she and her painting contractor were not aware of the change of the color palette that eliminated the color she chose to repaint her home. Let this situation go away and let me keep the color I have on my property, Peterson told a supervisor in her appeal Thursday afternoon. Apparently, CDD9 supervisors have concluded that would be the best course of action in a case that has prompted strong opinions here in Florida's friendliest hometown. Peterson was advised to submit an application to the ARC to seek approval for her paint job. She was assured that District Council Mark Briones would be present at the meeting and could provide background to the ARC on the pandemic history of her case. Peterson's application could be on the agenda for the ARC within about 2 weeks. See, she just got caught. The pandemic comes along. She has this color palette. She got the color palette before the pandemic. She didn't get the house painted right away. Who knows why? It doesn't make no difference. But then she gets this contractor. Maybe the contractor was 2 months behind on getting to her house. That's not unusual. A month behind. Well, by the time he gets out there, brings the equipment out there and paints the house, somebody complains. I don't know who complained. Somebody complains. They go out there and say, you got to change the color of your house because that's not one of the pre-approved colors. Now, I don't know what she's done with her color palette. Now, see, if she'd have had that, she could have said, there it is. This is the color palette that I got. And there's the color that we use right there. And maybe if she'd have copied the email that they sent her and all that kind of stuff as evidence. But anyway, apparently they've agreed that they changed the color palette after she already received the old color palette. And now they're telling her she has to repaint her whole house. Like, this is an expensive job. This isn't like a $500 job here. It may have cost her $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to paint that house. So I'm on her side on this one. It's not her fault that somebody dropped the ball there during the COVID. And I will say this. I do agree on that because I hear about changes on different areas. I have never seen anything publicized anywhere about deed compliance changes. Your deed restrictions has been changed. I haven't received anything. And I know for facts that in District 10, where I'm at, I know of at least one, maybe two changes that's already been made in our deed restrictions, only because we called. Well, I actually sent an email, and they sent me a thing back saying that's been updated. That's been updated, but we don't get anything. They don't put anything in the mailbox. We don't get email. We don't get nothing. So cover your butt. New furniture store to open later this month at Southern Trace Plaza. Odell Recreation Center closed for pool maintenance. Manatee Recreation Center closed Sunday for quarterly cleaning. Oh, let's read this. Let's read about a 33-year-old villager living in the retirement community. A 33-year-old resident of the villages. See, they use that word resident. He may not be a property owner. He could be a renter. We have that problem here. 33-year-old resident of the villages was tasered after an apparent intoxicated altercation with family members. Craig James McSherry Jr. was booked without bond Thursday morning at the Sumter County Detention Center following his arrest on charges of battery, depriving use of 911, and resisting arrest. He had been sleeping on a couch at a home in the villages when family members returned home and tried to rouse him, according to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. When he woke up, he became upset and confrontational, the report said. A woman announced she was going to call 911, prompting McSherry to try and snatch the phone away from her. He snatched her forearm, which caused it to bleed profusely. Ooh. He ran outside and was able to die. She ran outside and was able to dial 911. When deputies arrived on the scene, the odor of alcohol was detected and McSherry's speech was extremely slurred. He said he wished to apologize to his family. McSherry would not cooperate when a deputy attempted to take him into custody. He balled his hands into a fist and began to raise his voice in an aggressive manner. A deputy pulled his taser and ordered McSherry to cooperate. When McSherry refused, he was tasered. The address of the home where the altercation took place was retracted from the arrest report for the protection of the victims. Hey, Mom and Dad, once again, tough love. Going to act that way around here, you need to pack your bags and go on down the road. Find yourself someplace else to live because you're not living here with me and your mother. We're too old for this crap. Until then, though, I will see you on the other side.